Welcome to the very first episode of Daddy Recovery. Let's discuss. So what I wanted to do is I'm always talking. I'm always thinking. I really am self-diagnosed ADHD. I don't have any doubt in my mind that I have ADHD. Absolutely not. And I find myself saying really great things. I'm known amongst my friends as wise, and I call it trauma, they call it wisdom. Um, and I just really want to gather these thoughts, especially because I've been suffering for the past 2 years from a very severe depression, and I'm too comfortable being hidden. And if I have these great thoughts or curious thoughts and I want a sense of community, then I got to show myself because I may hide, but I don't like being alone. And today's episode is the backpack. So backpacking is what we call amongst my group of gals this moment in the relationship where men kind of switch from love bombing to bombing. It's right around the 5th or 6th mark, and suddenly they just toss that emotional backpack at our face and start revealing the cracks to their foundation, the cracks to their mental foundation, their emotional foundation. And you don't know if you necessarily saw it in the beginning, because that's the argument with women. We do have the tendency to turn red flags into pink because pink flags are more manageable. They're things that we can handle. And we're also trained. Something that I noted in my childhood. And remember, my dad was a bigamist. So my mother would tell me, an illegal one. He had a whole family hidden. So she's like, marriage is complicated. It's not easy. You have to compromise. And I think there was a little note of trauma talk when she said those things of she had lived a life. My father was not the first man to abuse her, to betray her. Absolutely not. But I think it's because he was the worst culmination of he was a horrible human being. Vicious, malicious, manipulative. And what was so dangerous and scary about him is that he could do it with a smile. He could charm his way out of anything. And when you're just a good human being, there's a feeling of a charming one will always outsmart you or always make you look bad. And I think she just kind of started saying, out of a hopelessness, you got to take what you could get from people. Just take the fun, ignore the trauma they give. And I am over that. I can't do that. I wouldn't rather be alone. I just would rather be accompanied by few. I don't think that I'll end up alone at all. But I don't think I'm going to have 20 million friends or 20 million boyfriends either, because I can't just have a lighthearted moment. I need to have depth. And for me, depth is not only fun, but feeling like I could rest with people. And what happens with the backpack is it's this moment where you realize, I'm not going to rest with this man. This man is a lot heavier than he presented. And what I thought was bearable, he's now going to show me in the next half of our relationship is unbearable. He's not vulnerable, he's fragile. He's not flawed, he's manipulative. And it's this revelation that my friend was talking about, because she's 33. And her 20s, she dated very rarely and only for a few months. And now she's been dating this guy. They've hit the 5th or 6th mark. Her mother is elated. She's like, finally, let's fertilize you. You only had 2 good years left before those eggs start to scramble on their own. And she's like, hold up. The backpack is coming. And everybody started laughing. What are you talking about? And she's like, the backpack is going to hit. It's this moment right around when everybody starts to get comfortable, including me. When you've told me you're going to make me your wife for the past 5 months, and then right around the 6th one, you throw the backpack. Suddenly you weren't going to make me your wife. And I'm like, you start revealing you might not even be husband material, because you have jealousy issues, and you never really showed me how jealous you could get. You don't like that I go out so much. Maybe I should start staying in. It's this backpack moment. And what I find so funny is that she was saying, I work on myself before I enter a relationship. I'm always working on myself. And there are moments when I withdraw myself from the dating world because I'm going to work on myself even more. And I'm going to work on my career, which makes me happier than any man has ever. And when I feel like it, I start dating again and I find somebody. And what I find is that men aren't working on themselves. They expect the relationship to unpack their backpack. And they expect women to kind of heal and build the parts of them that they can't or don't on their own. And the problem with that is, and this is what happened with my mother, we build these men and they become really great. And suddenly you don't. Suddenly you're disgusting. You're tired. And I say this happened to my mother and my friend because my father was, I don't, how do I put this politely? He was a hood rat. And I say that because, like, he was from the ghetto, he is ghetto, but at the same time, we have this tendency. I have never believed that ghetto is a location. I believe that ghetto is a behavior. I don't care. You don't have to be a demon just because you're from hell. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you don't have to be a saint just because you came from heaven. Look at Lucifer. This I think sometimes, and this is why I started Daddy Recovery, this was a sincere fear of mine. We make so many outside forces nurture our bad behavior, all while knowing it's bad, all while letting it make us feel bad. I always wanted to be a good person. And unfortunately, my father's abuse framed me to believe that I'm only a good person if people feel good around me. I'm only a good person if I never tell people how bad they make me feel. And I burnt out emotionally because I entered every relationship so ready to receive the backpack. So ready to get the backpack and carry it for these men that were dumber than me, meaner than me. Like, I'm not dumb. I'm not mean. But when I dated them, I might as well have been because I was so erased in these relationships trying to empower somebody because my father made me believe you empower men, you build men, and that's how a woman is built, by how far her man goes. And the worst part is, which is very typical of modern men, he would say women's rights, women's equality. I cheat on them. I steal from them. I lie to them. I verbally assault them. I commit psychological warfare against them. I make sure they are financially destitute. But I do support equal pay. I do. I hope that happens eventually. And sometimes I think men say those things because it's also like, when is it going to happen? I don't think it's going to happen in the next 100 years, or it might take 100 years for it to happen, and we certainly haven't started the process. There is a little bit of relief in being able to say kind things that you know won't happen. I really I wish for world peace. Well, that's not happening. And you, privately, aren't exactly somebody that gives peace to anybody. Not your community, not your family, not your partnership. But when you hear somebody speak about world peace, you're like, well, that must be a good person. And if they speak artfully about it, well, that must be a magnificent person. And that's where love bombing in some ways is, where men enter the relationship acting like Mr. Darcy, let's do this episode of Bridgerton. And then right around the 6-month mark, that backpack hits. And it's almost like they felt so comfortable dating you and making you their girlfriend, or making you their, unlabeled girlfriend, that now they're revealing how they want you to mother them. Because that's what she says. I don't want to be a mother. I don't want to take care of you. I want us to take care of each other. I want you to inspire me to inspire you, because I'm so inspired by how you make me inspire myself. I want this flowing dynamic. And it's like they throw the backpack, They ask you to look at it and see what you can heal, only for, as one of my friends was putting, she recently ended a 5-year relationship, only for them to end up dating another woman who is going to say, man, he's so well behaved, he's so kind, he's so healed. Well, I did that. He dumped on me. And that's what my father did with my mom. My mom made him a better person, made him, he even stopped cursing. He started wearing suits. He became materially, emotionally, and mentally a better human being, which is why he would always claim this was the love of my life. She's the first woman that made me better, that didn't use me in some way. Because part of what he did was he would excuse his supposed childhood trauma of this mother that used him, then his first wife that used him, always using him for money, always being vicious towards everybody, unkind. And my mother was the first kind one, and he destroyed her. He took how she empowered him and would always empower him, even through his addictions, even through his abuse, and just said, thanks, all right, gotta go. And I did the same thing for him. He would weep, I'm not good to you. And imagine that, being a little girl and your father is crying to you, I'm not good to you. Imagine that. Putting a child in that position where they have to comfort you when the truth is you're not. And you're not a good enough person to actually become a better one to her. And that's what makes women so scared of that backpack, that emotional backpack. It's this revelation that you are not as good as you've been claiming to be. And now you want me to make you better. And I have no guarantee if we're actually in a relationship because you're confused, if we're actually going to stay in this confusing relationship, because you might feel so empowered that suddenly you find me to be draining. Because now I'm going to start asking you unpack my backpack. Difficult, 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 ladies. Watch out for that backpack. Please feel free to put any backpack instances you've had in your life. And remember, I also think that I talk for women about womanhood, but at the same time, I have learned, and this is one of the hardest lessons, that at the end of the day, a good person goes beyond gender, race, class. I think it's just somebody with a full heart that is so ready to pour into people, and like myself, is going to have to learn the hard way. You can't pour into others when you haven't poured love unto yourself, because that self-love is what's going to help you choose better the people worth your love. So good luck out there, people. This is Daddy Recovery. Check out daddyrecovery.com and please subscribe. Check out Deandra on all platforms. New music coming out, business class.